Welcome to Pathway to Peace with Terry McIntosh. I'm Gary Morris. This is a timely message in search of a positive truth that brings healing, peace, and safety to the individual as well as the entire nation.
Greetings, Saints. Terry McIntosh here. I'm currently sharing our testimony with you for the glory of God. If you're just now tuning in, you can catch up by going to youtube.com, locate the search bar, and enter Pathway to Peace with Terry McIntosh. That should pull us up. This is episode 23. When we stopped last week, the family and I had just landed in Israel without a plan. Where to go, what to do. I didn't have a clue, so we migrated south to Jerusalem. Isn't that where the Lord wants us, I asked? I mean, after all, it is the beloved city of God. We rented a hotel room in the old city. Oh yeah, we jumped right in without knowing where we were or anything about anything. We were just there in obedience and searching for direction. It was there on the third day that we were first welcomed to Jerusalem. And it's not what one might expect when I say welcomed to Jerusalem. I was driving a rented Jewish-owned automobile, and tensions were running high between Jews and Palestinians, even though violence had quailed after the first Palestinian uprising. For the record, uprising in Arabic means intifada, if you're familiar with that term. Well, anyway, for whatever reason, an angry Palestinian threw a large rock through the back window of our automobile. Stoned in Jerusalem, 3 days into mission, was alarming for all of us. I remember the look on my wife's face and that of the youngest son. What's this about, we wondered. I looked at the rock and remembered what the Lord had asked when He said, "Who is the rock?" and when He said, "Remember it." We knew that Jesus is the real and eternal rock. This one was just a test of faith. And faith continued to grow as we went forward step by step. Israeli police investigated the incident, cleaned the car up for us, and sent us off with best wishes saying, "Welcome to Israel." Leave we did without a rear glass window. Was I an idiot for bringing my family here and putting them in harm's way? No, we concluded. We were on the path God set before us. And I say we because all of us prayed together, we all participated, and we all concluded together. I tried to settle us in Jerusalem, but nothing affordable opened up, and we were forced north in search of lodging. After 1 month of expensive hotel rooms, overpriced meals, and car rental, the money was disappearing fast. We found ourselves driving north with no plan and arrived at Haifa, the city built on and around Mount Carmel. It was late at night. The only hotel room accessible was far too expensive, so we spent the night on the beach and listened to the waves of the Mediterranean Sea pound the shoreline. The Lord appeared to me in a dream that night and revealed the immediate future. It revealed that we would find lodging on Wednesday, 3 days from then. God's signature 3 was all over it. The dream showed me a Jewish woman speaking English with a list of apartments in her hand. I knew that we would be okay. In the dream, the Lord also said the adoption is over. The housing part of the dream proved to be true. 3 days later, we met a Jewish woman, a realtor, speaking English, who had a private list of apartments not advertised, just as the dream had said would happen. I knew that our home was on that list, and it was. We settled into our new home on Mount Carmel. Now, theologians can argue the adoption over remark, but I knew I was in a good place relationship-wise. That's a great story about God's faithfulness, first and foremost. But we also learned how important our own actions are. How we act in the face of fiery trials does make a difference. It makes a difference in the sight of God, in the sight of man, in the sight of Satan, and to ourselves. I was a blessed man to have a family who trusted in Jesus, a family committed to each other under very trying circumstances, and a family who believed in me. They were a source of strength and encouragement. It could have been much different. The stress level was intense, and it sat on my shoulders like a heavy weight. I was pressed down, and it was only the word of the Lord that kept me going. Everything was at risk, including my ability to hear from the Lord and credibility with those I loved most. Our family's strength, love, and faithfulness were altogether tested. Susan, Adam, and Drew were faithful to look forward with anticipation. Had either one of them turned sour and began to complain about our circumstances and all the unknowns, it would have damaged us to depths that would harm our faith in Christ, trusting each other, and our purpose in being there. It wouldn't have taken much. Just a couple of negative pity party comments from either one of us would have done it. A poor attitude could have turned us into a wayward family, blaming each other for this or that, and eventually discouraged us to the point of giving up and just going back home to the good old USA. We survived those difficult days because of Christ, with faith in God and each other. We faced the challenges as a team who loved, respected, and trusted the other. It would have been easy for Susan or the boys to lay blame and accuse me of being crazy. It looked that way. No place to live, stoned in Jerusalem, little money, sleeping on the beach. They would have been justified in the eyes of man. However, they pulled together without complaint. Drew was a major blessing as a big brother and young man of God. He participated in everything we did, including the eventual street evangelism. I was a blessed man, and I knew it. I could cry thinking about it right now. Satan failed to destroy us. He often attacks our weak points, attempting to divide and conquer. He is successful far too many times and keeps the family and church weak through division. We should counter that with faith and trust in each other. It was in Haifa late July when I experienced a very real, wide-awake vision unlike anything before or since then. Now, I realize some people don't believe that God speaks to us today, but I submit that He does in different ways. In this case, He used dreams and this wide-awake vision to get us where He wanted us. While kneeling and praying alone in our bedroom, with my eyes closed, a man appeared before me. He took me by the hand and lifted me up. When he did that, I heard an angry voice shout, "Then I'll kill him." Now, my eyes were wide open now, or at least I think they were, and the room was transformed into an elegant garden. It was as real as anything I've ever seen. It was stunningly beautiful. The flowers and trees branched out full of color and life. It was an awesome, cultivated, beautiful garden. The man who had lifted me up pointed to a path leading out of the garden and asked, "Who will walk the path?" Now, I didn't know where it led, but I knew that the Lord wanted someone to walk it out. So I responded, "I will." Now, still immersed in the all-surrounding beauty of the garden, I took a step forward, and suddenly I was walking the path. But now I had lost touch with all the natural surroundings. The room was no longer reality. It was the garden, the path, and this man. It was just real. The path led out of the garden and into an open range of hills and mountains, leaving behind the alluring beauty and charismatic wonder of the garden. The new terrain was rocky, it was untamed, and there were wild weeds and grasses scattered over the landscape. The change of scenery was immediate, and it was a cause for pause, and I did pause to just try and take it all in. And then from out of the ethers of space and time, that angry, threatening voice reappeared and shouted, "I'll murder him." It startled me, and I was thrust back into my normal surroundings. The vision vanished. I was back in our bedroom and conscious of my whereabouts. It wasn't over though. Oh no. A different image appeared before me, and I saw a mountain with a path that started in the east and ran across the wide range to the west. It was like looking at a map. The path had a few detours, but for the most part ran almost straight across the mountain. I was seeing it as from above. When the path reached the western border, it shot off the mountain, arched high up into the air and away into the sky. That was it. The vision disappeared, and I was standing alone in the room. It had been a vision from heaven, no doubt. And I understood that we were not called to rest in the garden, rather leave it. step out into the wild, the untamed. God would have to define what wild and untamed constituted, but I knew that we were going to walk it out. And I say we again because we all did it. We all walked the path, we all sacrificed, and we all survived despite the angry, threatening voice that obviously did not want us to walk the path. He tried to restrain us many times along the way. I shared the vision with Susan, but I didn't share it with the boys. I confided that it might mean that I would eventually be killed. Susan rejected that idea, but we both submitted to God's ultimate will in the matter, knowing that death was stalking. In retrospect, it could have symbolized our mission complete with a few detours and missteps along the way, and my death as an old man back in the West from where we started from. Time always tells the tale, so we shall see where that is. At the very least, the Lord had prepared us for a tough ministry that lay ahead. We didn't have long to wait. We soon connected with a small Christian congregation meeting on Wednesday nights. Members of the congregation consisted of American, Jewish, and Arab believers in Christ. And this is where I experienced the translation of tongues as spoken about in the Bible. I guess the Lord wanted English speakers to know what an Arab man was saying, and He chose me to do it. It was a revealing experience. As the Christians spoke in Arabic, I felt a compelling urge to speak as well. When he finished, I immediately spoke up. I couldn't contain myself. It was overwhelming. And it proved to be a translation of what the Arab brother had spoken. Everyone thought that I could speak Arabic until I explained what had just happened. I was dumbfounded. I didn't even know how to say hello in Arabic. The incident proved several things to me. One of them is that the gifts are real and valid today when the Lord chooses to use them. I add that they're not at our discretion, rather His for His purpose. Soon afterwards, I penned a tract reaching out to the Jewish people for Christ and shared it with the leadership of the church, namely David Davis, the pastor, who has since moved on to heaven. As it turned out, the leadership had been praying for guidance on how to reach the Jewish community and felt like this was from the Lord. So together we launched the first ever public street outreach in Haifa. Several were saved and added to the church within the first year. It was an interesting time filled with challenges. Our efforts were met with disdain from the Jewish Messianic self-proclaimed Jerusalem Council, so named after the original Bible Council. We were on the streets weekly handing out tracts, talking to Jews about Jesus, and praying for those who consented. And this was a new thing on Mount Carmel, dare say even in Israel. And trouble first started when religious Jews tried to shut us down, but they failed. They followed us around and shouted at other Jews to ignore us, but the more noise they made, the more people came to us. They wanted to know what the fuss was about. Oh yeah, what the devil plans for evil, the Lord turns to good. Some tracts were stolen from our partners and burned in the street. Oh, the devil was upset. When he couldn't dissuade us, he inspired the Christian community to come after us. Well, my time's gone again. I have to go. We'll pick it up here next week, same time. So join me then and walk the path with me. Meanwhile, God bless you, Saint. McIntosh out.
You can write us at Post Office Box 766, Paducah, Kentucky 42002, USA. That's Post Office Box 766, Paducah. That's spelled P-A-D-U-C-A-H, Paducah, Kentucky 42002, USA.